Shalom Mishpaka. I'm happy once again to be able to communicate with you this Shabbat. At least this the Shabbat preparation, the beginning, and then before we enter into the Shabbat proper. Today, Hakadosh have a message for us, and he wants us to reflect on this as we celebrate the Shabbat. It's taken from the book of Meshli, chapter 9. Read from verse 1. Meshli, that is the book of Proverbs, chapter 9, from verse 1. It says this: Wisdom has built a house, and she has hewn out its 7 columns. She has slaughtered her meat, she has mixed her wine, she has also prepared her table. She has sent out her young women, she cries out from the highest places of the city. Who is simple? Let him turn in here. And for him who lacks heart, she says to him, Come, eat of my bread, and drink of the wine I have mixed. Leave the simple ones and live, and walk in the way of understanding. Verse 6, let's read it again. He said, Leave the simple ones and live, and walk in the way of understanding. Leave the simple ones and live, and walk in the way of understanding. What is he saying here? He said, Leave. Stay away from the simple ones. What are the simple ones? Simple ones, according to translation, could also mean those that are not wise, those that are foolish. Leave them and live. Stay away from them. Cut off from them so that your life can be preserved. When you stay away from them, your life, that is only when your life will be preserved. Let's continue. And that is wisdom speaking. Verse 7. He who reproves a scoffer gets shame for himself, and he who rebukes a wicked one gets himself a blemish. Let me take it again. He who reproves a scoffer gets shame for himself. You can't teach people that are not of the seed, true lineage of Adam, true seed of Hakadosh, the Torah. You're only going to get yourself shame. That's what you should know. The Torah is for only those that have it in their DNA. Then you're only teaching the person, remind the person what the person already knows that is latent in the person's soul. You're only bringing it to light. You're only reminding the person what the person already knows before from the foundation of the world. You're not teaching the person something new. The person has been following the Torah before the person reincarnated, was born again in this generation. Now, for those that have never followed the Torah, you're trying to teach them the Torah, show them the Torah. You're trying to teach them the ways of Hakadosh. You're only going to get a shame for yourself. And for those that came out from Christianity, haven't seen, a lot of deception, came out from religion, doesn't matter where they say evangelize, preach the gospel, said. I think by now, with your higher knowledge of the Torah, I think by now you should, if you are the evangelism type or the evangelistic type, you would have observed what happens when you teach people that the Torah is not meant for the Torah. If you've not been doing evangelism, you may not know what I'm talking about. But if when you came to the Torah, I started teaching everyone like myself, when I knew the truth, I started doing street evangelism, teaching people, showing people the way you must serve your Creator and all those things. I knew what happened at the end of the day. I got heartbroken at their lack of understanding. You see, I realized that they were only doing the things that I was teaching just not to offend me, not because they really thought it's the right thing to do, or it's the truth, or it's the way that our Creator wants us to serve Him. Let's continue. And he who rebukes a wicked one gets himself a blemish. This I have experienced this from former family members, if I might say. When you rebuke the wicked, you get yourself a bad name. Yeah, they're going to give you a bad name because it's not meant for them. When I was, speaking to my family members, some of them, telling them that this is the way to do it, say, no, we are Gentiles. We're going to follow this. This is what we're going to follow. We're not Jews. We're not of that lineage of Israel. And being that I was young and, so zealous and so fervent, I don't want any single person to miss out on the benefits of worshiping your creator exactly the way he wants you to worship him, exactly how he has written of us to worship him, and not by a man-made thought religion. I continued pushing, saying no, you see, you have to do this. At the end of the day, I was given a bad name. You get yourself a bad name or a blemish when you teach a wicked person, because they will not value it. They will turn everything around and start accusing of being heretic and things like that. That's it. That's what it's talking about. Let's continue. 8. Do not reprove a scoffer lest they hate you. And that is the truth. Anyone the Torah is not meant for. You rebuke the person with the Torah, the person will hate you. That's all. Because you're putting a restriction on the way of life that the person wants to live or the person is used to. And they don't want that. Reprove a wise one and he loves you. That is the truth. When you rebuke someone that already knows the Torah, that has it in his or her DNA, the person will love you for delivering him or her from death. The person will even be so appreciative that he or she has someone that can even guide him or her in the way of the Torah. Because it's always been very, very few. It's always been very scarce to see a Nabi or a Nabiya of the Torah of Hakadosh guiding someone, one or two of his children, in the right path. If you look at the scriptures, you will see that King David, his Nabi was Nathan the Nabi. Every king had their prophets, Nabi or Nabiya, that was guiding them, teaching them the Torah, correcting them. Because of course, as one is a human, the person is prone to a lot of errors and mistakes, and sometimes you do your will, thinking it is good only to see that it is contrary to the will of your creator. And that is the very importance of the prophets leading and guiding the nation and the king. So do you see? And then, if you look at the scriptures, you will see the reaction of the wise kings and the reaction of the foolish kings to guidance. Like David the Melech, the king, when Prophet Nathan will correct him, he will go out and cry and repent and change instantly. Now for the wicked kings, what do? Like Ahab and others, they will arrest the prophet and lock them up. They arrested Jeremiah, the prophet, locked him up in prison, arrested a lot of the prophets in the scriptures. That's the wicked kings. That's what they will do. Because he rebuked a wise person. He rebuked a scoffer. Hey, I'm not saying now that if you are a Nabi or a Nabiya of Hakadosh teaching the Torah, and the Ruach has asked you, or Hakadosh has asked you to go and rebuke someone, or correct someone, that you shouldn't do it when you see in the spirit that the person is a foolish person. No, that's not what I'm saying. You have to do what you've been called to do. Like if you look at the prophets, the Nabi and Nabiya in the scriptures, you see that even though they knew the king was going to arrest them, even though they knew that they were going to be killed for that, they still delivered the message. Because it is written in the book of Ezekiel, if you have been sent to warn a person, whether that person is a righteous person or the person is a wicked person, about the error of his ways, and you fail to do that for one reason or the other, the blood of that person is going to be on your head. You as a Nabi, if you refuse, say, no, I know if I tell you that this person is going to hate me, so let me just leave it like that. I value my friendship and things like that. No. Or you say, no, the person may not understand. The person might now start misinterpreting my motives or start wrongly misinterpreting. No. It's not your business. Your business is just to do what you have been asked to do, what you have been called to do. Let the person think whatever they want to think. Let the person do whatever they want to do. Because a person has no power over your soul, but your Creator has power over your soul. So He is the one you should fear. He is the one you should value more. And He is the one that you should obey. And no one else. So I'm not speaking just like on a normal circumstance. Maybe you're at a place of work and you feel, let me just teach that this person about Torah, this person about Torah. When you are not led to, you're doing it on your own, you have to be careful. You have to make sure you give it to the wise. Remember what is written in the New Testament. Yeah, it says you don't cast your pearls before swine because they are going to trample on the pearls and come and attack you. It's written there, JC, even though they use that word, he gave a lot of wisdom there. And he said, I am not come, but I'm come for the lost sheep of Israel. He made it very, very clear. Then after that era, the religious people now turn it and say you should preach it everywhere. Start putting words and things that the prophet did not even put there. And start adding their own things. Let me continue. I don't want to digress. 9. Give to a wise one, and he is wiser still. Teach a righteous one, and he increases in learning. Did he say give to a foolish person? Even when you're doing your charity, you're doing your tzedakah, or you're doing anything, you want to do acts of kindness, do it to a wise person. And who is the wise? Those that revere El Shaddai and increase in Torah learning. That's the only way you're going to get your reward. Why? Because that gift you're going to give to that person, the person is going to use it to serve El Shaddai the more. And as far as that person is using it to serve the Creator, as far as that person is putting it to good use, using it to teach other people the Torah, your Beraka multiplies. That is how it works. Now, when you're doing things to the wicked and to the foolish, just know that you just decided to just put it to waste. You just given it. Just like that. That is it. There is nowhere in the Torah you're going to see where they say give to a wicked person or give to somebody that is not wise. The only place it has been written in Proverbs that you should give to someone, say your enemy. That's the only exception. He said, give your enemy. If your enemy asks you for food or water, give. Because that way your heaping coals of fire is in the Torah. I've taught it in one of my videos. Your enemy. Because the person asks you. And you see food and water you cannot deny from someone that asks you. Even if that person is your enemy. That's the Torah principle. But for example, just like the Torah has commanded, we give charity, then tzedakah, we give our tithes, and then we give our various contribution, either new moon, Shabbat, or whatever it is. And okay, let me speak about tzedakah. Now, a wise person that have the habit of removing all those things, including tzedakah, setting it aside according as the Torah has asked us, according as Akadosh has asked us. Now, what do? You look for a wise person, someone that studies the Torah to give it to. If you have not seen and you do not know anyone in your area, anyone to give it to, what you should do, keep it. Get an envelope, write it down. Write it down, tzedakah, and then you keep it there. And pray and ask the Ruach to reveal to you. Someone that teaches the Torah, gives to the Torah, that you give it to. So that it can be a beraka to you and to Shamayim at the same time. But of course, in this era of science and technology we are in, when you go online, you see a lot of people that are teaching Torah, not religion. And then, depending, if you've got a Torah teacher, that's the right person to give it to. If you've got a Torah teacher, but if you are still that person that you're still suffering, you don't know what to do, left or right, you have not yet made your decision, then you pray about it. Keep it as is it better. Keep it. If you're not yet connected to any Torah teacher, it's better you keep it and pray and ask the Creator to lead you. Because otherwise you'll be throwing your seed, wasting your seed. You will get no reward, both from Shamayim and on earth. It's simple logic. I want to ask you a question. If, for example, you give your friend money, maybe you support her, may say every month with a certain amount of money, and then you realize that a rapist that is most wanted, she is supporting the rapist with that money. This guy has been raping women and children and killing them. And all over the news, they are looking for him. And she's giving it to him to help him to hide. She's using the money to buy food for him so they can hide and then do shopping and do everything for him so that he can hide and continue his evil deeds. When you discover that, how will you feel? And worse, if you discover that that same rapist has hurt someone you love, someone close to you that you love, that person is dead because of him. Or that person has been raped and his life has been destroyed because of that most wanted rapist. How will you feel when you discover that this is what your friend has been doing? Are you going to be happy to keep giving her your support, your financial support? Are you going to be congratulate her on what she's doing? After all, is there any way you're keeping him alive and helping him to hide from the authorities? Are you going to do that? No. No one will. In fact, most people will even report that friend, apart from cutting off the financial support that they're giving to the friend. That is how your Father in heaven feels. That is how your Creator feels. When He gives you a baraka and you give it to a wicked person, someone that is not His child, someone that is causing havoc in His kingdom, in the spiritual realm and physical realm. Yes, anyone that doesn't follow the Torah is causing dangerous and terrible havoc in the spiritual realm, causing a lot of wars and battles to be fought over his children. You have no idea the damage they do. And that is why there is nowhere you will say, give what I've given you to a wicked person to encourage the person in his wickedness. Even when it's your enemy, it was not even indicated. It just said, give to your enemy. Meaning that that enemy could also be a Torah observer, but for one thing or the other, maybe your spirit did not match, or one thing or the other is fine, or what the person has done, the person is now your enemy. Say when the person asks you, when he asks you for water to drink, when he asks you. Now if you look at it, when he asks you, if you look at it critically, you're going to observe this. That if your enemy is from the other side, the person is not a Torah observer, that person cannot even have the boldness to come and ask you for water or for food, because the person will feel that he's going to be mocked, or you will rather be dwelling shame than to ask you for water or food. Are you following? You will rather die of hunger than ask you. A sworn enemy, someone that doesn't observe Torah and really wants is working against you. So now it's talking about people in the same, you're observing the same Torah. Remember, he's giving this to Israel. In the camp, of course, you may have enemies, but they are all Torah observers. But for one reason or the other, that person is your enemy. One reason or the other. Is that when the person comes and asks you water or food to eat, don't say no. Give to that person. That's a very deep and big teaching on its own. I don't want to digress. Let him continue. Verse 10. The reverence of Hakadosh is the beginning of wisdom, and the knowledge of the Kadosh one is overstanding. When you begin to revere your Creator, how can you say you're revering your Creator? So obeying His Torah, then you're becoming wise. Anyone that says he reveres the Creator, but don't even do any of His commands, even one, you don't keep the Shabbat, You don't give Zadaka. You don't give your tithes and offerings as he commanded. You don't revere him. Because it's not by lip service, it's by your works. Your actions shows actually, if you actually revere him, have that fear and trembling before him. The same way, you as a banker working in a bank, you will have that fear of being fired or creating a bad name for yourself. Even though you're the one in charge of counting the money and putting in the ATM machine. Fear will not allow you to take some money and keep for yourself because the cameras are there, they are watching you and you'll be caught out. The same way, if you really revere your creator, fear will not allow you. The reverence will not allow you because you know it's watching you just like this. To disobey what he has commanded you to do. Fear will not allow you to steal from him. Like I said, you say, will a man rob hell? But you have robbed me. Fear will not allow you to even steal from him. Even if there is no means for one to send tithes or what, because of the changing laws in the country, one reason or the other, the person or for circumstances, you will keep the person will get an envelope and be keeping it aside. Fear will not allow the person to put hands or to touch what a creator asks you not to touch. And that shows the person is beginning to have wisdom. The same way, a child cannot see fire and put hand into the fire when the fire has burnt the child previously. Now, when a child sees fire and walks away from fire, what would the parents say? Oh, this child has now gotten wisdom. It's not avoiding fire because he or she knows now that the fire will burn him or her. That is how it is. It's that simple. And the knowledge of the Kadosh one is understanding. What's the knowledge? Reading the Torah day and night. That's the only way you can have the knowledge of the Kadosh one. And the more you obey what you read, the more his Ruach dwells on you and teaches you more mysteries. That is how you. The amount or level of mystery revealed to you is equivalent to the level of obedience you have shown to your creator. The level of mysteries that will be revealed to you, revelations, mysteries, is commensurate with your level of obedience. If you have not obeyed A, you can't be revealed B and C. Abba will not say anything. That's how Abba does. From my experience, if he tells me do this, and I'm still like contemplating, just keep quiet, I'm waiting, watching. He won't tell me any other thing until I do that. Then the next instruction comes. Then the next instruction comes. That's how it works. That is how he does. And it's a fearful thing. For you to stay a day and you don't fellowship with the Kadosh of your Sharod, you don't hear from them. It's something that one should not experience because it's very dangerous. In this earth we are living in, that's full of demons and spirits and less humans. Don't play with your life. Let's continue. 11. For by me your days become many, and years of life are added to you. Immortality. Immortality. Years of life are added to you. For by me your days become many, and years of life are added to you. There is no single person in the scriptures that followed the Torah that died on earth. I'm talking to you. Facts that can be verified. Women and men. Don't mind the scriptures, what they wrote here. They only wrote Moshe did not die and Eliyahu the Nabi taken up by a pillar of fire. If you see the original Torah, you will see a lot of women and men that did not die, that followed the Torah. They went with their spirit, soul, and body to the next level. To another realm, to a different realm, because they have finished what they are doing here on earth. There is no single person, because it says the Torah itself is life. The Torah is life itself. So if you're infusing life into your being, injecting life into your being, by your words, by your thoughts, by your actions, breathing in the name of the Most High, how can you die? Death for those that don't follow. He said, years of life are added to you. For by me, your days become many, and years of life are added to you. 12. If you have become wise, you have become wise for yourself. If you have scoffed, you bear it alone. If you have scoffed, you alone bear it. That's the truth. If you have become wise, it's for yourself. You're only doing yourself good. You're only doing yourself favor. If you are foolish or you have scoffed or you don't take this seriously, you're doing it yourself. You are not affecting the Ruach. You are not affecting Hakadosh. Neither are you affecting except yourself. You're the one that is creating the energies around you that is affecting your life and making your life difficult. When you obey the Torah, you're creating positive energies around you that makes your life sweet and pleasant. When you disobey the Torah, you're only creating negative energies around you that makes your life tougher and difficult. That there is no two ways about it. They are just opposites. Your thoughts, your words, your actions create the energies, the spirits around you. They can either help you, take you to your destination, or fight your progress. The choice is yours to make. I pray that those that are wise, as they watch this video, that they will become wiser. And I pray that this message will be interpreted in a way you will understand it and you'll be guided on how to obey the Torah and follow what your Creator has prepared for you and follow what He has ordered us to follow. I will be pleasing in His eyes, pleasing in the eyes of His Word. Have a wonderful and a great Shabbat.